I have a prepared statement. I'm going to stick to this as closely as I can. I'm not good at just reading things and not trying to, because I don't feel connected with people when I'm just reading stuff, because I'm looking down at a paper and not at people. So yes, my name is Ryan Haverlah. I am the city manager here in Copperas Cove. And I would like to thank our council members for being here. Mayor Yancey may join us at some point, but all of the city council that are here and that sit on the council, they are for Copperas Cove. So they are for the truth and the facts, and that's why you see two council members here. And the council has been well informed throughout this entire process. Note to turn off phones. Don't want to be that person, the one talking. So, again, thank you for being here. I want to say thank you to our entire team that's here. We have a whole group of firefighters here, and that's why we're here to talk. But we also have a whole group of other employees that are here as well. Kevin Keller is our Director of Public Relations, and Anna's with his team. But out here we have police department staff, we have HR staff, we have our budget and finance staff here. So we have a lot of people here that are supporting our fire department, even though we've gone through this investigation. I specifically want to say thank you to the police department and the fire department. I asked the police department to do this investigation, and the fire department assisted throughout the entire investigation. We did not get to a point where things were confrontational. Everything really went very smoothly, as an investigation can go when things don't look right. It takes a lot of effort to sit down and talk with, at this point, your peers, and then report the truth on it. Ooh, that can be pretty rough. So let's get into the specific statement that I have. Over the past several weeks, our community has had many questions regarding the recent internal and criminal investigations involving staff within the Copperas Cove Fire Department. Today, I want to share the facts of the investigation that can be shared, and I want to be direct in addressing the concerns that you have seen and heard throughout our community, both from our residences and outside of our residences. Just a quick executive summary. This is what I can share, that the investigations were limited in scope. That means it was only for a specific number of firefighters. Did not involve the entire fire department, did not involve the fire chief, did not compromise public safety response, and did not include massive amounts of drugs. This is what resulted from the investigation. Accountability actions were taken. Termination of employees, discipline of other team members, an indictment of one former employee, confirmation of illegal possession of drugs, and several policy violations. So before we talk about the investigation itself, I want to make sure that our community understands responsibilities. Mayor Yancey, thank you for joining us. Make sure that the community understands responsibilities. Not every city is the same or functions the same. So in Copperas Cove, the mayor and council are the chief policy makers, and their decisions are adopted through ordinances or local laws. The city council, in accordance with our charter, which is kind of like our local constitution, city council appoints a city manager to lead and manage execution of those ordinances and laws through the daily operations and future planning. All city employees are the responsibility of the city manager. This is a primary reason why I am sharing this information on the fire department investigation. So let's talk about what actually happened. On July 7th, 2025, the fire chief, the police department, and I were notified of alleged misconduct, possibly illegal drug use, in the fire department. The implications at that time involved 2 firefighters. Those 2 firefighters were immediately placed on administrative leave and were determined not to be on duty that day. I assigned the police department to investigate the allegations. Both criminal and internal investigations began. Within the first couple of days of investigation, 2 captains in the fire department were alleged to have engaged in misconduct. Those 2 captains were immediately placed on administrative leave. On July 15th of 2025, information about an investigation was supposedly shared online and with news media. The city confirmed with the news media that internal and criminal investigations were occurring. At that time, no further information was released because the investigations were ongoing. The internal investigation was concluded on July 28th of this year. However, the criminal investigation was still ongoing. On August 28th, 2025, a Coryell County grand jury indicted one of the former firefighters. Specifically, there was illegal possession of controlled drugs. The possession occurred at a fire station. It was confirmed one firefighter consumed a drug while on duty, but was not assigned to an ambulance on that shift. Both of these are policy violations. Other policy violations included conduct unbecoming an employee and dishonesty. Until the grand jury action, the investigation was considered still ongoing. Now, the judicial process begins. So why was more information not released sooner than this? During any investigation, due process must occur. Due process ensures the city follows fair procedures and respect for legal rights. We follow due process in all investigations, including internal investigations such as our topic today. For clarification, when criminal and internal investigations are occurring, the standards for evidence gathering are strictly quarantined or separated for the criminal investigation. It is important to understand that requirements of federal, state, and local laws are followed in criminal investigations to ensure the judicial process can be conducted. Was this a department-wide issue? The answer is no. It was not a department-wide issue. The investigation involved a small number of individuals within the fire department. The integrity and professionalism of the remaining firefighters and leadership staff remain unquestioned. Will there be criminal charges? Yes. One former firefighter was indicted by the grand jury in Coryell County. Coryell County District Attorney's Office will prosecute the former firefighter. We are fully cooperating with their investigation and will continue to do so. All future information on the indictment will be released by Coryell County District Attorney's Office. Why haven't the names been released of those firefighters? We have not, and as a general policy, do not release the names of employees involved in internal investigations and disciplinary actions. As would be with any resident, your personal information is expected to be protected. These employees have received the consequences for their actions. I am not here to publicly destroy anyone. And if you were the subject of an investigation, you would not want your name and actions on public display. So I ask that everybody, please be respectful. As you can see, and as I've explained, appropriate action has been taken for the individuals involved in the investigation, and we hold our employees accountable. So why is the city not being transparent and holding leadership accountable? That's one of the questions I've received. Why are we not being transparent and not holding leadership accountable? And I understand that frustration and the concern that this investigation has caused. We are committed to transparency within the limits of the law. As you can see, individuals have been held responsible for their own actions. After and only after the internal investigation was completed, did Fire Chief Gary Young provide his retirement notice to be effective on the exact anniversary date of the start of his employment. He has served our community for 36 years. That is phenomenal. I understand the retirement appears suspicious, given the timing of the investigation. However, it was clear in the investigation, Chief Young did not directly or indirectly contribute to or allow the misconduct. Chief Young cooperated and directed the cooperation of the fire department through the investigation. Another question I've received are, why are other firefighters given discipline? Our firefighters are dedicated professionals who serve with courage and integrity. Integrity includes understanding and accepting failures and adhering to policy, and that requires correction. Other firefighters who were subject to disciplinary action were provided full due process under city policy and state law. Another question I've received is, will staffing or response times suffer? Currently, no. And that is a caveat. Currently, no. The fire department remains sufficiently staffed to meet our community needs. Interim scheduling adjustments have been made to ensure continued rapid response to all emergency calls. However, as has been the case for many years, when our teams are all on calls of service, our neighbors provide support when requested. We specifically receive mutual aid support from Killeen Fire Department, Fort Hood EMS, and Hamilton EMS departments. Another question I've received was this investigation handled why was this investigation handled internally, and was it fair? And the answer to that is yes. Each step of the internal investigation followed established policy and procedures. The firefighters involved had the opportunity to respond and to exercise their rights under the appeal process. Will the report be released? The city has received multiple open record requests regarding this matter, and we will comply with all applicable public records laws and release all documents that are legally permitted to share. Internal investigations, such as this investigation, are not released in accordance with state law. So, those are many of the questions I've received, but just know that this is not the end of this conversation. As I've already stated, the fire chief, Chief Young, has submitted his retirement notice. And that means that we will be going through the process of selecting a future fire chief. And our fire department has a great foundation. And that foundation is of professionalism and integrity. And while we've gone through an investigation process of misconduct, which questions integrity, I've already stated that the rest of our fire department, those firefighters that are still here, maintain that professionalism and that integrity. City of Copperas Cove includes the fire department. So we are one organization. Fire department is not apart and separate from the city. And customer service is our purpose. We serve the entire community. We serve everybody that drives through our community. We serve those that work here. We serve those that don't work here and that are just visiting. So customer service is a principle of what I expect in our team. And that customer service comes with the responsibility of behaving and performing with integrity. In closing, I want to emphasize this. Your safety is not compromised. The city, the fire department, and I remain committed to accountable professional services. Thank you for your patience as the due process of the investigation concluded, and now as the judicial process begins. Thank you for your continued support of the men and women of the Copperas Cove Fire Department, many who are in this room and serve us every day. They're serving us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, year round. They don't stop. Even when Winter Storm Uri approached us and came here, they didn't stop. The firefighters, EMTs, paramedics, and officers serve the citizens of Copperas Cove and beyond, do their best to preserve, protect, and defend the laws of our country, state, and city, and uphold the traditions and profession of the American Fire Service. And so, prior to taking any questions from anybody, I just wanted to ask, Mayor, was there anything that you would like to say?
You did a fine job.
Thank you, sir. It's not about me, though. So with that being concluded, I will definitely take questions. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, so question I've got is about the internal investigation. Some people were questioning why was it handled so close to home. You know, the Copperas Cove Police Department investigated it. You know, people have relationships and know each other. You said to yourself it's a difficult situation. Was it too close for them to be investigating or not? Tell me about that.
I would say no. And I think the actions, the end result, demonstrated that no, it wasn't too close. This was not covered up. This was not pushed under a rug. This was dealt with immediately and quickly. And as we could share information, we shared that information. Yes, sir.
You mentioned the guy who got indicted was not on, he was with the fire department on duty, but not on a ambulance. So if he was on duty, so he was on a fire truck, an 80,000-pound fire truck, driving it, being high, or?
Yeah, I don't know the specific responsibility or role that he played on the day that it was identified that he had the drug in possession. But at that time, he was specifically not on the ambulance. And from my understanding, he was mostly doing administrative work. But again, I don't know the specifics of what his daily role was on that shift.
And when that comes available, are you gonna release it?
At this point, that's not something that I'm going to be looking into further. Yes, sir. Other questions?
I'll tag into what he said.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but it kind of tied in with the question I had. So basically what I think this gentleman was trying to ask is has there been or will there be a review of the calls of those that were not only suspected but actually committed the violations of using illegal drugs, whether it be on duty or off duty, it really doesn't matter. Have those calls been reviewed back to a period of time that you feel comfortable enough with, that they were not operating as vehicles while under? I mean, we don't know how long some of these substances stay in people's bodies. We don't know those specifics. And I think that makes a very valid safety concern question, is were there any issues previously or not? I know you can't tell us, but has there been a review?
So for the fire department, there is a process called run review. And that run review is conducted on a regular basis, which means they review every single call, every single action by our team members, and it's done immediately within, and I forget exactly how quickly it's done, within a week or two. Where's my fire team?
Yes, approximately.
About a week or two. So that means all of the actions that occurred prior to today have already been reviewed. We also have a medical director that is required within our fire department, and that medical director has already done his review.
So just to reiterate, you're saying that there has been a review of all the calls, and you're saying it was done during run reviews, which are, as I know for sure, they're standard operating procedures to do the run review.
That's correct.
But in specific, the question I'm trying to, and I'm not trying to put you on a wire here, but I want to make sure, because I know, I mean, my late ex-husband served the city for 20 years, okay? And so I do know how all of that works. And I know that at one point, he had gotten into a bit of trouble because he had let his continuing education lapse. And not only was he put on administrative leave, but all the calls that he had been on specifically were reviewed in a separate way. Not at a one-time run review where we look at any problems we might have, but knowingly. So I'll ask again, has there been a review of those specific firefighters, EMTs, personnel regarding the situation of the drugs or whatever misconduct they had, not a general run review to see if all the calls were, if there were any problems. Is that clear?
Yes, but I think your characterization of a general run review is not well placed, because
Okay.
it is a specific, detailed review of those calls and those actions.
I understand.
So all of those reviews have already been conducted. Anytime there is an issue or there's a problem that is brought to light as a result of those reviews, they are addressed immediately with our team members, and corrective action, training, mentoring, and coaching is done in that moment.
I understand. My apologies for seeming to make light of the run reviews. I know they're very important, but we're still not honing in on that specific question. Like, and the only reason I feel like I can speak to this with knowledgeably, excuse me, is because I know what occurred, like I said, maybe 10 years ago, when my husband was put on. I'm not upset about that. I mean, he let
Sure.
his C's lapse for whatever reasons, but I know the standard operating procedure was admin leave, and then I also know that Chief Young, along with several others, had to go back and personally re-review any calls he had done to make sure that there was no liability to the city for him to continue to operate with lapsed continuing education.
So I don't know what the detailed extent of those reviews and how far back they went, but I do know that both our fire department and our police department reviewed when those individuals were on duty, when the potential misconduct occurred, and reviewed any of the actions that they had conducted during that time. Yes, ma'am.
Question. I know one of the firefighters will be indicted at some point, but specifically with the other three, how are they tied to this situation? What exactly did they do wrong?
Again, it goes back to the internal investigation where those specific violations included drug use, drug possession, unbecoming of an employee, and dishonesty.
Moving forward, will the department do any sort of drug test to ensure these people aren't taking drugs while they're on the job?
We already conduct random drug tests, and we will continue that process.
Is that something new that y'all have started? with the
No,
random
ma'am.
drug
We
testing?
have been, I have been with the organization for 14 years, and we have been doing random drug tests for 14 years at least.
Well, I started 30 years ago as a volunteer here, and I know that all the way up until about 6 years ago, it was, drug tests were done upon hiring, of course, and then they were done if there was an incident with a city vehicle or some sort of incident, and that was the only time. We were never subjected to random drug testing. Maybe we were just innocent enough.
Congratulations.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I agree with you on that one.
Other questions? Yes,
Did
ma'am.
you all learn of this because of a drug test? Like, how was it made aware that he was inebriated at all?
Yeah, inebriated is not the right word, but the information came from a peer that recognized one of his team members was not acting and functioning correctly and brought it up through a chain.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Can you tell us what the drugs were?
I cannot, that's part of the criminal investigation, and that's not something that I would be releasing right now. Yes, sir.
Will there be other agencies that'll be looking into this event outside Copperas Cove PD?
The district attorney's office is in charge of the indictment of that one firefighter, and at this time, that would be the only organization that may ask for additional information.
So organization like TCFD, ISTA, and all them will not be notified?
They've been informed of the investigation that we were in. Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, I have a question. The firefighters that were not indicted but disciplined, they were released from the fire department? All of them, or just a couple of them?
Yes, sir. The other 3 firefighters were terminated.
Okay, how is that gonna affect for future employment for them? Would that be, if they decide to apply for another fire department like Austin or Lampasas or Colleen?
I can't speak to the hiring practices of any other organization but our own, but anytime an employee or a potential candidate applies with Copperas Cove we do a background check. And that background check includes getting information on their previous employers.
Thank you, sir.
I guess one last question I just wanted to clear up, because we have personal relationship, our family with Chico. He's also been the one to handle, the subsequent things that we had to deal with after Michael died. So he is no longer chief here, because from what I understand, you said it's coincidental that he retired around the same time this all kind of happened. Did I get, that's right? I mean, was it
So
planned
he is still the
retirement?
fire chief.
Mhm.
His retirement date is September 23rd.
Perfect, thank you. That answers. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I appreciate your attendance, and I appreciate your interest in trying to get the facts and the information on this investigation out. The statement that I've prepared will be sent out to media for your information. Mr. Kevin, anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Haverlah. We're actually going to go ahead and burn copies of the statement, so for those in attendance, we'll give you a copy as you head out the door, okay?
All right, thank you very
Thank you all
much.
for
Y'all have a
being
great afternoon.
Thank you.